All right, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Broncos Chiefs, it goes final. I am here with you, and really not a great game to watch on either side of the ball. Now, I hesitate to ever disagree with the great Al Michaels because he was talking about Vance Joseph and this Broncos defense. And yes, they did hold Kansas City to one touchdown. And it was, of course, the one touchdown to Kadarius Toney that you saw out there. They did hold the Chiefs to 3.6 yards per carry on the ground. So we're going to praise the effort of the players on this program. Never going to deny that. Not going to deny what this team did. Not going to deny how this defense looked, but when Al Michaels was going on and on about like, hey, Vance Joseph, Kansas City kind of shot themselves in the foot, for lack of a better term, because they got too cute on a bunch of plays, mainly on third down. You saw multiple gimmick plays. Kansas City, if people don't know, kind of let their players call their own plays during practice or like design their own plays. And so you see some ridiculous play designs at times. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And hell, in a game like Denver, you're going to kind of break it out and try it on them. So here I am to talk about this game. And really, we're just looking to what the Broncos are going to do next. Like, okay, when are they trading in everybody? When are they getting rid of guys? Like, you saw some effort out there. Cortland Sutton with a great effort on his touchdown grab. Jerry Jeudy with no effort after Steve Smith called him out in the pregame show. So, yes, lots to get to. But I wanted to start there and emphasize, like, while I'm going to praise the efforts of Zach Allen, while I'm going to praise the efforts of Justin Simmons, of a Pat Surtain, and perhaps Simmons is still traded, as we know the trade market's going to heat up now that Denver has lost yet another game. They've got a little bit of a break here now. Of course, week 6 for them wrapped up. They got 10 days until their next game. Will they get rid of players? Yes. Am I going to fall all over myself about Vance Joseph? What a great effort. No, because again, Andy Reid and Kansas City get a little bit too cute. And you think that, had Kansas City maybe ran the ball in those certain times, maybe not called those trick plays at other times, like perhaps Kansas City would have scored more points. So ifs and buts and ends and all those sorts of things. So I'm not going to lose my mind tonight. Maybe some of you are going to tune out immediately as I say that because, and I get it, man, it's emotional. But what emotions do you have left for this team? They're garbage. Not every player. And I definitely have a lot of grace when it comes to the players, not only because I'm in that locker room and that I know most of these guys. It's that, the effort behind it, like it's not working for Pat Surtain. He's still a fine player. It's not working for the Denver Broncos this year. Justin Simmons, he's a fine player. Not everybody. You saw the struggles out there. Travis Kelce had over 100 yards in the first half, and all the stuff that surrounds Travis Kelce now. We got to talk about that. Like, I just want to talk about ball. The Broncos aren't very good at ball. So, am I going to jump on Vance Joseph and say they should have fired him a long time ago? This game and this performance doesn't give me any sort of like hope that Vance Joseph's going to turn around and now they're going to be great. They're going to fire Vance Joseph eventually. So do I want to lose my mind that they haven't fired him? No. Do I want to, fall all over myself saying like Vance Joseph, he got it? No. I want to say there was, great effort by some defenders, not everybody. There was great effort by some of the Broncos defenders, and Kansas City shot themselves in the foot. I mean, that's the bottom line. Kansas City just kind of screwing around, jerking around, something else around as well, flipping around. I guess I can say that, right? They're doing all these sorts of things. They didn't really need their foot on the gas. It's Denver, and their offense couldn't really do anything until later in the game. Now, why is that? They started out the game good. They started out the game running the ball well. Then they went away from it, just like they do. But then they came back to it like they usually don't, and it worked again, and then they went away from it. So, is now the time to be super emotional? No. Why? I'm apathetic. Like, I don't care. I want to see what's next. I don't need to see this version of the Denver Broncos. I don't need to see any more of these games. I'm going to see them. I'm going to talk about them. But I don't need to be like, oh, and then they should have done this and they're this close. Like, they're not close to anything. Kansas City was flipping with them, man. And you know what I want to say. So just use your imagination, you dirty minds. Kansas City was messing with them. That's it. It's not progress and they're right there and they're right there, guys. They should be, now they should be 4-2. And you forgive them for the Chiefs game and you forgive them for the Dolphins game and whatever, like just a couple more plays. Like, no, that's not the case. You have players that are checked out. You have players that don't want to be here, man. Like Dante from Clerks. I'm not even supposed to be here today. Well, Jerry Jeudy, you're supposed to be there and you're supposed to be good. You're not. So go on. Just get rid of Jerry Jeudy. Cut him, trade him, whatever. I don't want to belittle anyone, but I also always find it funny when I can't speak English. I always find it funny when people ask me on Twitter, the realm of the lowest common denominator, like, what could you get for Jerry Jeudy? I don't have a red stapler, although I think mine is a swing line. I got a tape dispenser, right? What else do I got here? Here it is. Yes, it is a swing line. I wish it was red. I should have got a red one. That's my stapler. Like, yeah. What are you going to get for Jerry Jeudy? Some office supplies. I don't care. Just get rid of him. Like, who cares? There's not even any reason to get emotional about that. Like, Jerry Jeudy doesn't want to be here. He thinks he's way better than he is. So get rid of him. And, it's a huge draft mistake and a huge disappointment. And I do not believe, and I could be wrong. Hell, I was wrong about Jerry Jeudy. When you see the physical, and one thing that I've certainly learned over the years in scouting players is like, you got to know the mental, because the physical stuff's easy to see. Scott McLuhan, former GM in Washington, told me that years ago. Like, the physical stuff is easy to see. It's why when I grade someone, let's say like a Paxton Lynch as a first rounder, and he goes in the first round, it's because his physical skill is that. It's just upstairs. I don't want to be mean and say it was a 10-cent brain, but a sixpence, whatever. Like, I just want to talk honestly. Jerry Jeudy didn't bust because of the physical skill. He busted because he has bad attitude. So, like, get rid of him. Yeah, fine. I can't even, like, last week I made myself physically ill after the show. And yes, it was good entertainment, I must admit. I even went back and watched it myself. But like after the show, as I'm writing Mile High Monday and 3 observations, I'm just like getting sick to my stomach. Like, this is disgusting. I felt like I was going to throw up. I didn't throw up, but that's just the way the Broncos make me feel. So I'm done like letting the Broncos ruin my day. And I really wish I could cuss. And I know some people, why do you always say that? That cussing makes you sound dumb. Whatever. Just flip and get it over with, man. Just flip and get it over with. Trade who you need to trade. Tank how you need to tank. Like, and again, I'm not going to say they're tanking, because as a professional football analyst, I've never believed that an NFL team could tank. And then I saw the Broncos this year. I mean, the stuff they're doing, the third down plays they were asking Russ, let's roll out to the right, give you 2 receivers and max protect and move the pocket and nobody's open. And even Jaleel on that play, and this is in the first half, when I got a lot of like their tanking messages on Twitter, because it looks very obvious. And is it Sean Payton trying to stick it to the league that always sticks it to him? Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm not going to publicly come out and say this team is tanking. All I know is when I watch them in practice, I see a different team on Sundays, and I go, Sean Payton either forgot about football, they're tanking, or they don't have enough Sean Payton guys. I still believe it's the latter, but it looks awful suspicious, because on that play in the first half, Jaleel McLaughlin could have eked out a little bit, and Russ, even though the pocket moved to the right, Russ could have looked for a throwback to the opposite side of the field. He'd have been wide open. but he didn't, because that's not the play design. It was lousy play design, lousy play calls. It's why I put on Twitter, the realm of the lowest common denominator. Like, all these third down play calls are curious. Like, this doesn't make sense unless you tell me they're losing on purpose, and I go, oh, okay, then it makes sense. That's the only thing that works in my brain. Not much else does. But when I watch this team, I'm like, they're bad. They have a poor game plan. Vance Joseph did do better. Okay. For everyone, like, I think anyone out there, and this is to my colleagues as well at Denver Sports, this is to our competitors at other radio stations and websites, this is to you and the fan base. I'm going to say something that everybody needs to hear. We all need to stop standing on these islands of proclamation. Like, I told you Russell Wilson couldn't play, or I told you that Alex Singleton and Josie Jewell were the problem, or I told you that Vance Joseph wasn't that bad. No, it's all dumb. It's all dumb. Okay. 2 rules in life. Don't be dumb. Don't be in a cult. It's just dumb. You don't stand on any island with this team. You don't stick up for anyone. You just say, I saw a better effort from Cortland Sutton. That doesn't mean you don't trade him. That doesn't mean he hasn't not had great effort in previous games. And again, I like Court. Tonight he showed heart. You can't say in every game he's done that. And if that's being mean, then I'm mean. I don't care. I just want to tell you the truth in my observations and what I see from this team. Russell Wilson, largely been garbage over the past couple of weeks. At times was garbage today. But again, the play calls don't make sense. Like, Russell Wilson can do more. He's being treated like a child. Russell Wilson in these game plans, and this goes back to Sean Payton. So either Sean Payton forgot how to coach, or he's doing this on purpose, or he doesn't have enough Sean Payton guys. I'll still say it's the latter, but my mom always used to say, looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, that's a duck. This team looks like they're tanking. I mean, I don't think they are. I don't really think that's possible. They'll, of course, deny it, and anybody would be chastised if they suggested it. But, like, yeah, Russell Wilson is being treated like he can't play. Now, maybe some of you will say, he can't play. Russell Wilson can't play. Get him out of here. He's terrible. Okay, some of you may believe that. I happen to believe different. I believe Russ is thinking about his stats a little bit. I've just observed too many times when you can throw it up, he doesn't. There are times he does. The Cortland play, right? The Judy play before that, where Judy's like, I'm not going to get that. You know, lucky that thing wasn't picked off. So you do see some times where Russ will challenge and let his man go get the ball if they can. You don't see that all the time. So again, it's curious, like, why the notion that Russell Wilson can't play, that's a false notion. Again, that's dumb. The notion that Russell Wilson is perfectly fine and everything's okay, that's also dumb. I think Sean Payton either doesn't trust Russ, or Russ is being, like, so safe because he's worried about his numbers, because you still want to put up good numbers. Like, there's times in this downtrodden season, I wish he'd just say, flip it. And I want to say something else that Russ would never say, because he's a good man. I am not. I am a scoundrel. I will cuss a lot when I'm not on air. That's just me. I grew up in the country. Deal with it. I want Russ to say, flip it, and just fire it in there. And he won't do it. There's times he does, but especially in the second and third quarter, he wasn't doing that. And so it makes you go, why? What's going on with this team? Why is it that you look at the Broncos and it just seems unorganized, right? Like, everything's unorganized, and it seems, as people would say, like, very Hackett-like at times. And I know Nathaniel Hackett had the last laugh, and he had the last word, and all these sorts of things. Like, okay, that's fine, but I just, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And, you know, you look at this now with this team, you know, why in the world would you be being upset over what they're doing? I saw a lot of people saying, you know, oh, I'm so done with this team, and oh, I'm so upset, and I'm so emotional. And again, I made myself sick last week. I'm not even a Broncos fan. We're Broncos country. You're my family, and that's why it means so much for this team to be good. And they haven't been good since 2015. And there you go. Now here go the Chiefs, and they're off, and they're running, and we got to talk about it. And I'm just not going to lose my mind about it. And yeah, that's apathy. I'm not going to lose my mind about it, and I'm also not going to really, be super excited or upset about anything that they've done. Again, I don't think Vance Joseph now has solved things. I think Vance Joseph doesn't deserve his job. And again, if that makes me sound mean, I don't even care. Right? Oh, that's so mean. Like, no, you tell me who can defend Vance Joseph. Well, he had a better game, and the Kansas City only scored one touchdown. Kansas City has been shooting themselves in the foot almost all year. They look beatable. Yeah, they're beatable. They are. They have been beatable all year. The people that say this about what? Now I'm getting fired up. The people that say this in this wild defense of Vance Joseph, like it was better today. It still sucks. They still have won one game. And I know Russell Wilson be like, man, we're right there. We could be 5-1 or 4-2. Yeah, you also could be 0-6. You're lucky or unlucky to have one win. And that's on Vance Joseph. And that's also on Sean Payton. And that's on George Payton. Like, ain't none of this fixed. Ain't none of this better. Oh, Vance Joseph was better, guys. Stop lying to yourself. The information is right there in front of you. There's two things in life that I'm not going over my standard rules, but there's ignorance and there's nescience. Nescience is a word that kind of has lost. People don't say it anymore. Most people don't know what it is. Nescience means you don't know the information, and so you have an opinion that's ignorant. Ignorance is when you know the information and you just ignore it, and you're just like, no, let's go Broncos. Vance Joseph looked better. That's a dumb take. Sorry. Were the results better? Yes. Did Kansas City only score one touchdown? Yes. Does that mean Vance Joseph deserves his job? No. And I think that's very simple. And I don't care if that's mean or whatever. Like, you're not fixing anything with Vance Joseph. Okay, for the people that say it's better, extend his contract right now. Because there used to be a saying I would quote. When someone says something ridiculous, misinformation, then you just agree with them to maybe hopefully they kind of hear themselves when they say something. So if anyone, and this is even for my colleagues, I don't know what people are saying. I generally don't pay attention to Twitter or what other people tweet or what other people say. Like, I just don't care. If anyone's saying like it's better with Vance Joseph, with Vance Joseph was better tonight. Sign him to an extension then. If that's how you feel, then let it work. It's going to work with Vance Joseph, right? He was better in one game. It's still not going to work. You still have problems with many departments. The corner opposite of Pat Surtain, I don't care who it is. I don't care who's playing nickel either. You just have problems all the way through this entire team. You have problems up and down this roster. A George Payton problem is what this Broncos team has. You can spin it any way you want. Russ can be positive forever, and I dig positivity. May not seem like it, because if y'all tune in and be like, you're so negative, like, I wish I wasn't, but I'm not going to lie and be like, it's okay, Broncos country, you're fine. Everybody, let's go Broncos. Like, that's dumb. It's ignorant. The information's right there. The film is right there. Kansas City flubbed it up. Kansas City shot themselves in the foot. Kansas City, when it was 10-0, it should have been like 28-0. Whatever the number is. Like, when it was 13-0, it should have been 21-0. Like, they stopped themselves. Was Vance Joseph's plan better? Yeah, if your plan's to let Travis Kelce have 100 yards in the first half, knowing that Kansas City will shoot themselves in the foot, you were better against the run. That's a good thing. You didn't let Isaiah Pacheco go off for 100 yards. So that's a good thing. Again, that's a positive. What are the positives with this team? They're not as prevalent and as relevant or as thorough as you think. So, what's the plan? Who's getting traded? That's all I really care about. You know, who wants to be here? Who deserves to be here? And then when are the young guys going to play? That's what I care about. And it's just going to take time. It will just take time for this Broncos team. And that's it. That's all. Nobody wants to hear that answer because everyone wants the fire and the brimstone and the emotion. Like, none of that's going to happen. None of it's going to happen. Why do we go through the box score even? It doesn't even matter. Russell Wilson didn't have 100 yards. It's time for Jarrett Stidham. That's dumb. Sorry. Jarrett Stidham's not going to do any good. All right. And Russell Wilson with the 2 interceptions and he sacked 4 times, whatever. And Samaje Perine lost the fumble. And okay, yeah. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Seriously, why are we doing this? What sense does it make to do this? I suppose I should have been having the the lower third the entire time. Oh well. With this team, like, it's just pure apathy. Just do something, man. Do something. That's what this team needs to do right now, is just do something. And we won't be able to know until tomorrow, over the weekend, or Monday, or whatever. But whenever this team needs to make those moves, make the moves. We already know what they are. We already know what this team needs to do. And it's going to take time. So the game, at least it wasn't embarrassing. Is that what Broncos country has been reduced to? Broncos country has been reduced to remember when, remember Peyton Manning, remember the Super Bowl 50 defense, remember Von Miller, and at least we didn't get embarrassed. We being you, not me, but you know what I mean. Like, seriously, it doesn't even matter to go through the box score, right? Because what they did do, which was run the ball, they ran the ball well. They didn't run it enough. They did have balance on this team, but you also had a passing game with 2 picks, no protection. Like, it's just not working there. It was nice to see Greg Dulcich back. He had a catch for 3 yards, right? This is what you have now with the Denver Broncos, and it is not good enough. So we can make ourselves sick well, honestly, I kind of feel like throwing up again. Honestly, I might have to put this up on the screen and go barf and then come back. Like, seriously. Why do we allow this team to ruin our days? Why? It's not worth it at all until they start making moves that show that they have their eye on the future, because that's where the future's at. So, Caleb Williams, here we come. Please choose to play in Denver, because Denver's franchise is so embarrassing that you would think a can't miss pick like Caleb Williams might go Eli Manning, might go John Elway. Is this what you've become? Have you become like the Baltimore Colts back in the day? Have you become like the San Diego Chargers when Eli Manning didn't want to go there and they picked him anyway so they could trade him? And just to make him walk across the stage and don that hat and pick up that jersey with Roger Goodell? Like, is that where you're at with Denver? Okay, get Caleb Williams. Like, that's what matters. Over the rest of this season, the only thing that matters are the young players and the future of this team. The only thing that matters are keeping a Pat Surtain healthy, because he's a cornerstone. You keep him healthy. You make sure that he's doing what he can, on the field. Help him out as much as you can. But if you're the Denver Broncos, like, this is what you've done. That's where you're at. That's what you've done this year. It's nothing. It's nothing much. And if you're the Denver Broncos, like, it's going to take multiple moves. It's going to take replacing your defensive coordinator. So again, Vance Joseph was better, and it doesn't matter because he's going to get fired anyway. Not today. I'm not talking about today. Please, for the love of all things that are holy, don't take me literally when I say that. But like, you're going to fire Vance Joseph eventually. Just fire, whatever. Like, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's going to happen. So let's get to the point when it happens. Okay. The rest of the year, I want to watch Nick Benito's development, right? This is where the positivity comes in. I want to see what Nick Benito can do and how he can grow, and can he get to double digit sacks? Like, that would be really cool if he got 12, 15 sacks. That'd be really cool. Jonathan Cooper, watch the development of him. Your linebackers, I want to see Drew Sanders, although you're going to see some rough spots. When these young guys play, you saw Riley Moss make a special teams mistake today, touching the ball when he ran out of bounds, basically. Like, the first guy to touch the ball cost the Broncos. You're going to get that. I like Riley Moss, but you're going to get that. Young guys are going to make mistakes. Drew Sanders is going to make mistakes. So if you're the Broncos, you just got to ride with that. You're not going anywhere. Doesn't make sense to start Jarrett Stidham. Okay. This isn't Patriots. Mac Jones is terrible. Time for Bailey Zappi, although he's been terrible as well. Like, going to Jarrett Stidham, why? Why would you want to do that? Prove a point? No, that doesn't make sense. More of Jaleel McLaughlin, although you can definitely see at the ends of runs when DBs are like stuffing him. Like, okay, the lack of size is a concern. Javonte, keep him healthy. Samaje, I don't care. Like, he's a free agent guy, whatever. Javonte, keep him healthy for the future. So that's basically what I'm focused on the rest of this way out, to prevent myself from literally getting sick on these airwaves. I'm just going to have to talk about the future, because talking about what happened, it's either going to upset you to the point of vomiting. And I definitely don't want to hurl. If you're going to spew in this, like, I don't want to hurl in front of you guys. But like, seriously, we're either going to get at that point where it's so upsetting that it physically alters you, or you just go, yeah, I just want to concentrate on the future. Get Caleb Williams here and whatever. And, Cortland Sutton, I guess you don't trade him. Maybe you do, because he put forth that effort. He showed heart tonight. Jerry Jeudy with no heart, with no energy, just a guy. And yeah, that's how you do it, right? And the thing with Steve Smith and dancing in front of the NFL Network things, I don't know if you're Facebook friends with James Palmer like I am. They also put it on Twitter, of like the video of Jerry Jeudy going over to the NFL Network set and like kind of dancing in front of him. Like, dude, dance in the end zone. Dance when you make a play that matters. Dance when you beat the Chiefs. Then you can dance all you want. Isn't that the ultimate revenge, right? Steve Smith said naughty things about me. Go make him pay. Instead, he looks like this. Like, what are they doing? What's the point? Like, what are you doing, Jerry Jeudy? Besides collecting a paycheck, like, just move on, trade him. So, my outrage, which is certainly not faux outrage, because there's nothing worse than faux outrage in this life. I'm totally mad about something I was totally not aware of yesterday. That's faux outrage, everybody. And there's nothing worse than people with faux outrage that love to virtue signal about how great they are. My outrage with this team is legit. I am legit sick of this team. I am legit sick of them spinning their tires. And we're supposed to like dance at any sort of little sign of improvement. No. Vance Joseph's game plan was better. They did stuff the run better. It doesn't mean Vance Joseph should not be fired and should not have been fired after the Dolphins game. Jerry Jeudy, there's no defense of Jerry Jeudy. He's going after Rod Smith. He's going after Shannon Sharp. He's going after Steve Smith. He's going after Mark Schlereth. Like, just come on, man. You have to recognize and realize that others were there before you and they did it better than you. And so when they say something, you can listen up, especially when Steve Smith, who is known for his bravado, Steve Smith goes, maybe not hat in hand, but he goes before the game just to say, hey, young buck, I said a little stuff on my podcast that maybe I shouldn't have said, and, go out there and prove them wrong. And that's when Jerry Jeudy was like, what did he say? I'm not about you or something. He also said something else, but like he said a word that you get penalized for saying in the NFL. And then he said, I'm not about you or something, whatever Jerry Jeudy said. But when Steve Smith basically went to him to apologize for telling the truth, again, are we at that point? And maybe it's old man, get off my lawn type of thing. But like, are we at that point where you tell the truth and, oh, maybe I went a little far? You didn't go far enough, Steve Smith. Jerry Jeudy might be the worst wide receiver picked by the Broncos in the first round ever. Is that far enough? Is that too far? Do I have to apologize to Jerry in the locker room? It doesn't flippin' matter because his play does not inspire. He's not good, everybody. Sorry, I wish it was different. I wish Jerry Jeudy's physical talent, which is off the charts, I wish his will matched that. Instead of this entitlement or I'm the best, I'm the greatest, just ask me. And by the way, Sean Payton has that sort of entitlement. I wish Sean Payton was actually good and didn't act, like he's above it all, which is the way that he does act. There is some tyrannical nature to Sean Payton that I wish he did not have. I believe in Sean Payton. I don't know why. Perhaps it's his history. Perhaps it's because I've known players that have played for him before, Saints players, that say good things about him. But you've got to be better, and you got to be better in a hurry. And that's just not going to happen. So as bad as it's been for 6 years, 7 years, it's worse this year. And, this is the bottom. Maybe not this game specifically. Miami was probably the bottom. But this season, 2023, for your Broncos fandom is the bottom. Somebody on YouTube last week was like, this guy sounds like a fair weather fan. Well, first off, moron, I'm not a fan. And secondly, I get it. If you want to be like, let's go Broncos, and I'm a fan through thick and thin, well, your fanhood is going to be tested. And I hope you come out and you're a stronger than ever Broncos fan. And I hope that in 2024 with Caleb Williams, Sean Payton turns this thing around because it is dog trash right now. And it's just not the way this team is supposed to be. So, what are the answers? There's multiple problems that need to be answered. And there's multiple answers that will just take time. Time that you'll have to give them. You will have to be patient with the Denver Broncos from here on out. You will have to just grin and bear it, so to speak, when it comes to these games and these players, this roster, this schedule, right? God forbid you're going to any home games, but you've got one against Green Bay coming up in week 7. So in 10 days, October 22nd, there's Green Bay. You really going to go to that game? Who's going to want to go? And again, maybe tickets are cheap and you go and hey, everything's okay and everything's great. I hope so, man. I really hope so. Kansas City's going to be there on the 29th. Okay, that's got a chance of not being good. So if you are a Broncos fan, you will be tested. This will be a large test for you. How do you react to that test? That's up to you. As far as me, I'm going to concentrate on the future. I'm going to concentrate on the younger players. And that's the only way I know how to get through this. I'm not going to lose my mind. Again, to someone who is literally getting sick right now talking about this team. Because the emotions are so strong and the outrage is so strong. Like, I want to go off and to blow up and to say things that I would regret. I actually want to do those things, and I'm fighting the urge because it's not good. It doesn't do any good. If I lose my mind on Sean Payton or Vance Joseph or whatever, like, it just doesn't do any good. And, you know, perhaps the entertainment factor would be higher if I was yelling and screaming, but I just don't have the energy to do that because this team is too low. It's too corrupt. It's too rotten for the Denver Broncos, and it doesn't get better this year. So focus on the young guys. Who wants to be here? Trade away who you need to trade away. Stop flipping around and just waiting and, oh, God, keep, you know, the whole how would it look thing. How would it look? I don't care. How has it looked so far? Crap. So for the whole how would it look crowd, I don't care. You should care about the standard that you're setting. You should care about the culture that you're setting. And you should also care about guys like Justin Simmons, where you just, if you love him, let him go. If you love him, let him go. I want Justin Simmons to be on a winner. I want Justin Simmons to be on a Super Bowl roster. I want Justin Simmons to experience winning a Super Bowl. I'd like it if it was here, but it's not going to be here. And he has trade value. So move on. And that's just what you have to do if you're the Broncos right now. You have to move on. If you're Jerry Jeudy and he doesn't want to be here, trade him. He's not the solution. He's not the answer for anything. When the Broncos are good again in 2 years, maybe 3 years, who's going to be here? Jeudy won't. Sutton won't. Dulcich might. Cushenberry won't. Powers might. McGlinchey might. Bowles won't. Miners might. Like, just think that in your head. The best way to go through this roster is to just go, okay, give me 2 years. In 2 years, do I want to see where Quinn Miners is at? Yeah, I do. It's going to take a new contract. But the culture here needs to be different. There is no winning culture. They don't know how to win. They aren't together. They aren't consistent. Jerry Jeudy is a malcontent. Like, all of these things are true. So they need to make changes so that they can move on and that they can build the proper culture. And Sean Payton, in his somewhat tyrannical ways, he might have to soften his touch a little bit because you're not winning. When you're in New Orleans, and you can be that way because you're winning. When you're not winning and you're somewhere new and you've got a locker room full of guys that really aren't your guys, you know, you're definitely seeing who his guys are and who his guys aren't. And there's just not many of them that are. So again, as I said on Denver Sports Tonight on Tuesday, this team is either tanking, Sean Payton forgot how to coach, or they don't have enough Sean Payton guys. And I believe the answer is the latter. But there are only 3 options because you look at the play designs, you look at the play calls, you look at the execution, you look at what some of these players are being asked to do. Russell Wilson is basically like in a stroller or training wheels, right? This offense that Sean Payton has given Russell Wilson isn't even the full offense. And I know people are tweeting out like pictures of his play sheet and the notes that he has on his play sheet and pictures of Russell Wilson's wristband. This isn't even half of the playbook. And it's certainly not some of the stuff they do in practice. So, again, you have 3 options. The 3 options are Sean Payton forgot how to coach, this team is tanking, or they don't have enough Sean Payton guys. And this has been George Payton making decisions. It's a live look at George Payton trying to make picks and make free agent moves and sign contracts. It's exactly what it looks like. So again, support the Broncos or not. That's up to you. But this team has been tested. I talked to old hippie Bob this week. And Bob is a friend of mine. He actually runs or works at the pressing company where I get my comics published and printed. And so I went to see Bob this week as I picked up copies of Death Support. Anyway, and Bob was telling me about the pre-Super Bowl 12 Broncos because it's before my time. I'm old, but I'm not that old. And Bob's old. He's an old hippie. And he was telling me about all the quarterbacks and all the problems and all the losing and like how the Broncos were just kind of like, it was fun having them in the city, but they weren't good and they were pretty embarrassing. And he said, Cecil, I don't watch as much football as I used to, but this team feels like those teams, the early 70s teams, the late 60s teams, those teams that I don't remember because it was before my time. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take your word for it, you old hippie. Anyway, sometimes I feel like an old hippie myself. But this team is not good. There are not easy answers. And there's nothing that's going to happen quickly. So could you please hurry up and fire Vance Joseph? I don't care if it was better tonight. Kansas City shot themselves in the foot. If you're just joining me and missed my mini rant, I'm not really in the rant mood. Again, I'm fighting the urge not to hurl on the air. And there's no hyperbole. I wish it was because I do not like throwing up. I'm one of those people who's like, I don't do it very often. Maybe like once a year, and I flipping hate it when I do. But so far, the last 2 weeks, and maybe it's me, like literally last week, in addition to feeling like I was going to throw up, I felt like I was developing an ulcer. I was like, this is not good. It's not good for my physical health. Like watching this team or losing my mind over this team. So this week, I'm trying to maintain that, but there is a fire burning inside me because this team is an embarrassment. And this team used to be great. This team used to be consistently great. And I'm not just talking about the Peyton Manning era. This team was consistently a perennial playoff team. And there was a time not that long ago when they had more Super Bowl appearances than losing records under the guidance of Mr. Bolin. And those days, unfortunately, are long gone. So Greg Penner, you run everything now? Do it, dude. I will offer my services tonight on this program to Greg Penner, not to Scout, because I appreciate it, but I also think it's funny when people are like, you should be the GM of the Broncos. Like, no. Pro Scout, maybe. Not the GM. But I will offer my services to Greg Penner as a consultant because this team needs to fire a lot of people. Vance Joseph being at the top of the list. You need to fire Jerry Jeudy. Has the Frank Clark thing done yet? Like, again, it's not that hard, baby. Like, you didn't have to announce you were cutting Randy Gregory to get someone to trade for him. And you didn't get anything for him, whatever, 6th rounder, 7th rounder, whatever. Like, it's not this complicated. Did I hear that about Van Jefferson? Who really can't play? This week, I cover every team in the league. You know what I didn't hear? We're going to release Van Jefferson. All of a sudden, he was just traded. So why do we need to hear that? We heard that with Albert Okwuegbunam. We're going to release Albert O. Oh, God, no, we're going to trade him. These trades aren't that difficult, especially when you have general managers that you're either really close to, like a John Lynch, or that are addicted to trades like Howie Roseman, who I love. Like, it's not that hard. The Broncos are making almost everything they do harder. I could blame Sean Payton for some of that. Because Sean Payton has people in that building walking on eggshells, allegedly, or what. I totally don't know that. I totally do not know that people that work for the team are walking on eggshells with Sean Payton. I totally don't know that. Totally not happening. But I could guess, based on how things have changed out there, and they haven't changed for the better. Listen, you can be a tyrant and you can rule with an iron fist if you're winning. Then people will be like, man, this sucks, but we're winning. So yay, go Broncos. But when you're losing and you're embarrassing and the locker room is kind of like the Randy Gregory thing, here's another thing about that. One, guys thought he was released. They were shocked by it. And then they were shocked when they found out he was traded. There were conversations in the locker room like, wait a second, Randy got traded? His locker was still full of his stuff after the announcement that he was going to be released, and then he was traded. So in that locker room last week, instead of people talking about Nathaniel Hackett, because nobody cares, right? What's the it's not Seinfeld, but it's Newman from Seinfeld, when he's like, hey everybody, this guy, whatever. See, nobody cares. Hey everybody, Nathaniel Hackett's coming back to play the Broncos. See, nobody cares. Nobody in that locker room cared. You know what they did care about? Am I going to be here? Because Randy Gregory, making $70 million, just got dealt. He got released, and then they didn't release him. He got dealt. So your guidance from Sean Payton has been off of a cliff. Sean Payton all of a sudden turns into Wile E. Coyote. Super genius. So again, I believe in Sean Payton. I don't know why. But this couldn't have gone worse. And it isn't really necessarily about finding your guys. You find your guys as the season has gone on. It seems like Sean wanted to find it immediately. And I don't know if that's because he wanted to tank or not. And I don't know if Sean Payton wanted to tank so he could stick it to Roger Goodell, because there one day could be a lottery in the NFL draft when teams legit tank, or if there's rumblings or rumors or out and out tanking that's kind of provable. But this Broncos team looks one way in practice, and it's not the VJ week of practice stuff. And then they go on the field and they look a completely different way. Sean Payton in the 2021 Saints, when he wasn't tanking, allegedly, the 2021 Saints with Jameis Winston, they looked kind of like how the Broncos look in practice. And there's play design, and the quarterbacks run a lot of things. Like, Russell Wilson is not a toddler, all right? And he's being treated like one offensively. I know he needs to be better. I'm not sticking up for Russell Wilson. I'm just telling you, like, he's not being allowed to run the full playbook, which he could if his coach believed in him or whatever the reason is. I don't know what the reason is. All I know is Russell Wilson's better than this. He's ran what Payton has wanted him to do. He's ran it to the letter, which is bad, because there's sometimes his improvisation, and you saw it on some of his runs. That's what you need from Russell Wilson. But he's not making plays unless he's just running. Like, you need to extend it and then throw it, and guys aren't getting open. The design isn't there. The effort isn't there from Jerry Jeudy when you throw it up to him near the goal line and he just doesn't go get it. Cortland Sutton you do, and he makes like this one-handed, amazing thigh down, foot down, touchdown Broncos. That shows you something. Maybe he's still traded, which would be unfortunate after that sort of effort. But yeah, Brandon Johnson, Marvin Mims. Isn't little Jordan Humphrey kicking around on the practice squad now? Like, yeah, you've got options. You've got options. Greg Dulcich is back. You've got options if you're the Broncos. So, I don't know, and as someone who looks at things with a critical eye, I wonder, like, is Sean Payton doing this on purpose to stick it to Roger Goodell? He clearly doesn't like the commissioner. The commissioner clearly doesn't like him. You see calls that are slanted against the Broncos. And again, I'm not a Broncos fan, so I feel comfortable in saying that. You see officials that seem kind of hesitant. I mean, Russell Wilson's getting the hell beat out of him out of bounds. They don't throw any flag. And, you might think that they should. Surprised they didn't on that one play. Was it McMillan that came in on Pat Mahomes? Whatever. But you see the league protects certain players, and then there's Russell Wilson. The league protects quarterbacks, and then there's Russell Wilson. So it's like, okay, is Russ getting the brunt of it because the league hates Sean Payton? I don't know. All of these suggestions, and trust me, they're just suggestions because they're not what I believe, but I'm just trying to talk it out, baby. I'm just trying to make sense of this. I'm trying to make sense of this entire thing. Like, the only thing that makes sense is if the Broncos are losing on purpose. Because Sean Payton didn't forget how to coach, and this roster has talent. They don't have enough talent. So that's where I'm going to go back to. I'm just going to say they don't have enough talent. There are some talented players. There are some players that can be cornerstones. There are some players you need to trade away, even with a heavy heart. You know, I don't want to see Justin Simmons in another uniform, but I kind of want to for his sake. Jerry Jeudy I could give a damn about. Like, just get rid of him. I don't even care if you cut him. Like, who cares? Shouldn't have picked up his fifth-year option. Hell, shouldn't have drafted him in the first place. Like, whatever. Should have been Justin Jefferson, whatever. But pretty much everyone, to a man, had Jerry Jeudy as the number one receiver in the number one receiver class in NFL history. And yes, Jefferson was up there. And yes, Henry Ruggs was up there. And only one of those three has worked out, by the way. Jalen Reagor was, but that was a little more hypey than, like, legit. Like, Jerry Jeudy was legit top 10 prospect. Justin Jefferson was legit top 10, top 15 prospect from a scouting standpoint. Henry Ruggs as well. So you see how this league plays out. Like, you can be great in college, and it doesn't mean you're going to be great in the NFL at all whatsoever. And Jerry Jeudy's not great. Jerry Jeudy isn't even good. So when Steve Smith calls him just a guy, that's an insult to guys everywhere. He's just a guy. Nah, he pretty much sucks. Yep. And again, if that makes me mean, then I don't care. Like, I don't care. I want to concentrate on the future. I want to concentrate on the next generation of Broncos. I want to concentrate on getting Caleb Williams. Like, yeah, okay. This is what this season's going to be. Whether it's on purpose or not, conspiracy theories abound. You can save that or you can keep it. I don't really care. All I know is this looks weird. The play calling is curious. This doesn't seem like Sean Payton. And either he doesn't trust Russell Wilson or is intentionally keeping half of the playbook from him. Russell is better than this. You can give Russell Wilson more to work with than this. It's low-hanging fruit or simple when you say, Russell Wilson sucks. Time to put in Jarrett Stidham. That's low-hanging fruit. That's nonsense, and it's garbage. My reaction to that, not because I want to zig when everyone else is zagging, my reaction is that let Russell Wilson run the whole playbook. Maybe Russ would be better if you didn't, like, kind of handcuff him and corner him into this little box of, like, okay, young Timmy, young Russie, you can't run the whole offense, so I'm only going to give you part of it. Like, that's a Sean Payton problem. That's not a Russell Wilson problem. You have an offensive line problem, protection woes, to be sure. But mainly, you have a George Payton problem, and you have a Sean Payton problem. So good luck. I'm going to put my tape dispenser away. And I'm probably going to wrap up the show and go barf. It's really so bad. And again, I don't know why I do this, but I apologize to you guys. Like, I want it to be so much better. I want to have fun. I want you to be excited about the Broncos. I don't want you to boycott the Broncos. I don't want you to stay away from the stadium. I want you to do what you want to do because it's your fans, it's your dollars. Everything's expensive, right? So I'm not going to tell you how to fan, but I know what kind of party this can be when things are going good. And I'm not even saying things go great. I just go good. Can they be respectable again? Can they be around the playoffs again? Can you, oh man, just that one game and they should have made the playoffs. Like, can we at least get back to that? And it's sad that we have to ask for that. Like, can we at least be kind of halfway decent? It sucks that that's the case, but that's the case. So again, when information is staring right at you, the only other choice, what is the old saying? There's two ways to be wrong: to not know the truth or not understand the truth, and then not to believe what's not true, and then to not believe what is true. I believe that's the two ways you can be wrong. To believe what is not true. The Broncos are right there, man. They can do it. Like, that's not true. And then to not believe what is true. I don't know if you believe this yet or not, but the Broncos are the worst team in the league. I don't know if you believe this yet or not, but it looks like Sean Payton either forgot how to coach or is tanking on purpose or doesn't have enough of his players. You can pick which one you want. I don't know if you believe that or not, but if you don't believe what is true, you will be wrong. And what is true with this team is this is the worst it's been in 50 years. And that's a long time. And on that note, I think I feel a little bit better. A little bit better. And I appreciate everyone was all worried last week. Like, are you okay? I got so many messages. I got friends live in Philadelphia. Shout out Jason Wood, like big Eagles fan. Like, he messaged me, like, are you okay, dude? Like, I appreciate that. Even Andrew Mason's mom, shout out Mason's mom. She was like texting her son, like, is Cecil okay? So I appreciate that. Because again, last week was, and the week before that, like, it's been some killer weeks, man, and not killer in a good way. Like, just soul sucking, gut wrenching, god awful defeats at the hands of teams that are either really, really better than you or, you know, seen as lesser than what you could be in a different time. Well, that's a wrap. I'm going to wrap my 3 observations. I'm going to be back on tomorrow morning with Schlereth and Evans at 9 a.m., 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then I'm doing Denver Sports tonight from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. So big Friday up ahead. Also think there's a estate sale with comic books I'm going to. Anyway, I'm Cecil Lammey saying thanks, everybody. Broncos country, I wish it was better. I wish it was better. And just, I'll tell you to hang in there, but it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. Hey, everybody. Stay tuned, denversports.com. And as always, stay frosty.